Hey there, it is Faith Talk Live. I'm Rick Probst.
And I'm Dan Ratcliffe.
We are so excited to talk to Terry Wildman again. He is the one that put together, him and a few other folks, the First Nations version, the Bible, the indigenous translation of the New Testament. And ours came in, Terry, and I love this translation.
Well, that's the kind of feedback we've been getting from natives and people who aren't native, that they love it. It's really making a difference.
Yeah, we want to catch up with you to see what folks are saying. A couple of questions I wanted to ask you. I love how you not only say, like, let's see, this is the book of John. I was reading this morning. It talks about, it doesn't just give their name like John and Jesus, but it describes them. It paints a picture. Like for John, it says here in verse 29 of chapter 1, the next day, gift of goodwill, John saw Creator sets free Jesus. And I love that. That's amazing. How did you come up with that? Did it take a team? How did you do that?
Well, from the very beginning, when I started working on this translation, even in the early stages, I knew that Hebrew people had meanings to their names. Mm-hmm. And then I also knew that our native people traditionally have meanings to our names. And so to me, it was an easy decision. Let's put the meanings of the names in. Let's research, into the Hebrew and the Greek, the meanings of those names, and then present them that way. And actually, that's been one of the best feedbacks we've had. That's really native people really love it. It draws them into the story. And sometimes even the meaning of the name adds dimension to the story itself.
That had to have taken a lot of research, which obviously you put a lot of time and effort into this, but just researching all the different names, because you're right. I mean, the Hebrews, they were all about the name and what it meant. That's a lot of research right there, Terry.
Oh, for sure. But there's a lot of books out there that were very helpful. There's other people that have done the research for me. All I had to do was access their research. The same, I used Logos Bible software, which gave me a lot of good books to check with and to reference. And so I'm not a Greek scholar, but I know how to access Greek scholars.
You're smart. You work smart, not hard.
Pastor Terry Wildman, we love having him on the show, and we're going to talk about just some stuff that's coming up for these guys. I just think this is genius. Not only do I enjoy it, but I love that Native Americans are able to read the New Testament. And from what I understand, it's just really transforming their lives. Do you have any stories that you can share with us?
Well, absolutely. We've Native InterVarsity, which is a branch of InterVarsity Campus Ministries, has been using it for quite a while now. Some of their staff actually became our reviewers. And they've used this in some of their large gatherings with Native students, and actually was testing it out with them in the early stages. And some of the Native students actually came to faith. It was their deciding factor as they read this translation that said, yes, I can believe in this Jesus, that's being presented to me this way because I understand him now. And we had another story. A lady contacted me from Ohio, and yes, there's natives in Ohio too. and so she had been trying to witness to a native man who was very antagonistic toward Christianity and church. And she said, do you think I should give him a copy of this First Nation version? It was an early, when we had it about half done, we had put it out there, and she gave him a copy of it, and he came back to her with a changed heart and a changed mind. Wow. He says, I can believe in this Jesus. He says, I'm still having trouble with the church, but I know now that I have to forgive because that's what he taught. He's a spiritual man like our native people. Wow. And he taught us spiritual things. So yeah, we've had stories like that of people coming to faith, of people just opening up in new ways. When I did a podcast with an interviewer. It wasn't a podcast; it was for a magazine, and this was a Native person who was interviewing me, a Native woman, and she hadn't read it yet, but she was trying to find out from me more about it, and she asked me to read a little bit from it. She didn't have a copy, and so I read to her the Beatitudes, and she started crying.
Wow.
Wow.
As we were interviewing together. Of course, I didn't get into the article or anything, but it really, she says, I've never been touched by the Bible in that way. So she couldn't wait to get a copy of it. So yeah, there's lots of great feedback that's coming in, both by natives and by non-natives.
Yeah.
Isn't it amazing the impact that the Bible can have on people when it's in a language that they can understand? That's awesome. You guys are also teaming up with the Jesus Story. Tell us about what's going on with that and the good story.
Well, the Jesus film, about halfway through our time of translating this, someone from the Jesus film people contacted us with an interest in doing something with the Jesus film and the First Nation version. So we put our heads together, and finally we decided that they were doing some new animation kind of work with some of their videos that they put out. This is from Crew, Jesus Film Project with Crew. And so we worked together, and we found some artists. We got a concept together, and we have that video that's been produced now. It's free to watch online. You can go to their website. You can go to the First Nation version YouTube channel. Also, I have a copy of it in there. Already, they say there's been I think over 10,000 views.
Wow.
Of it. And it was released about a week before the translation got released. And it was a great way to kind of introduce people quickly to the translation. But it's beautiful, beautiful art. And it's the story of Jesus feeding the 5,000 and then walking on the water. We call it retelling the good story, and we call that video, the 7-minute version, a day and a night with Creator Sets Free.
Wow.
That's so good. Pastor Terry Wildman, we're talking about what all is going on. We're, of course, talking about the First Nations version. So we're coming up on Christmas. It'd be a great time to get some of these copies. And as you mentioned, for Native Americans and for non-Native Americans, I really, really enjoy this, and we really appreciate your hard work, you and your team. What do you have slated for the rest of this year and into 2022?
Well, one of the things we're doing is right now is we're recording an audio book of the First Nation version. I'm going to be one of the voices on the audio book, and we're working on getting other Native voices involved. And so that's I'm not sure when that's going to be released. Also, InterVarsity, we are in approving stages of a new children's book that parents can read to their children on the birth of the chosen one, the Christmas story from the First Nation version. We're simplifying it down a little bit for 4-year-olds and retelling it with some beautiful art. So that will not make it for this Christmas, but it's being slated for maybe next Christmas. But in the meantime, we actually have, if you go to our website, we actually have, and look at the books, an early version that we have already produced called The Birth of the Chosen One. It's a hardcover. It's from an early part of the project of the First Nation version. It's a great gift and a great way to introduce children to the story.
Awesome. You can go to firstnationsversion.com where you can find the book. You can find the First Nations Version Bible and purchase it there. You can also go to jesusfilm.org/good story and see the good story film that Terry talked about. You can either do it there or on their website through their YouTube channel. What else do you have on the YouTube channel, Terry, that folks can watch?
Well, we have some early presentations that my wife and I did. She's playing the native flute, and at the 2015 crew gathering of their world, their national gathering of all their staff.
Mhm.
And it was really beautiful. We were introducing the project at that time, and it was so well received. And there's also some behind the scenes on the making of the film. You can watch some of the videos there that talk about how the film was made, and interviewing myself and Donnie Begay, and talking about some of the other artists that were involved.
Awesome.
Love that. Pastor Terry Wildman there. Hey, pick up a copy of the First Nations version and check out the stuff on YouTube. Go to firstnationsversion.com. Terry, we love having you on the show. We'd love to talk to you after the first of the year, and just God's blessings to you and your wife, your family, and all the folks that are on your team.
Miigwech, Bizindawayeg. Thank you for listening.
Appreciate it.
Let's take a break. We'll be right back. I'm Rick Probst.
And I'm Dan Ratcliffe.
This is Faith Talk.